What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 365 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where I, Tony Mango, your host as always, will be breaking down some of the current events, rumors, news, gossip, and anything else that I want to talk about that happened over the past couple of days in the world of WWE and outside of WWE a little bit here and there. So how you doing? Hopefully you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. If you celebrate that, if you didn't, I hope you had a hell of a bad week. I'm obviously just kidding. Whatever the case may be, thank you for joining. Thank you for all the support that you guys always give us and all the other kind of stuff like that. And also thank you in advance for your comments. Go ahead and drop them below. Tell me what you think about some different things. Also, warning ahead of time, if my voice sounds horrible, I am trying to test out different ways to get better audio quality, and I just cannot quite figure it out. Actually, over the past couple of days, have tried out 2 other microphones, and I've been messing around with my Blue Yeti that I normally record with, and I have no idea. So, I don't know, I'm going to be testing some things out here and there, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out a good way to do this. As I'm recording solo, it's not going to be as noticeable as when I have the guys on elsewhere, and, then you can kind of tell the difference between them and stuff like that. But, whatever you think, I'm going to leave this mostly unedited with these settings that I have going on right now, except for a little passive noise reduction so you don't hear some kind of background noise. But tell me what you think, keep that in mind. So let's just start talking about some different things here. One of them is All Elite Wrestling. There had been some rumors for a while now that Jim Ross, Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and or Kenny Omega, maybe some other people that are involved in that as well, were creating their own wrestling organization, which would be at least majority owned by the same guy who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then some other news stories came out that said that that's total bullshit and that is not actually happening. Well, now we have All Elite Wrestling as a trademark. They have trademarked not only All Elite Wrestling LLC, but AEW, just, to make sure that they keep that, because, hey, look, it's a wrestling organization. ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, whatever the case may be, you want to keep the acronyms going. They also have Tuesday Night Dynamite, AEW Double or Nothing, AEW All Out. So it seems like what this is pointing to is Tuesday Night Dynamite will be their regular show. And I gotta say, it's not a bad idea because they know that SmackDown is not going to be on Tuesday nights anymore when it moves over to Fox in October, I think it is, in October 2019. So there's going to open up that little bit of that space there where Monday Night Raw on Monday nights, Tuesday nights are going to be blank. Wednesday is going to be that time that they air a lot of different things. 205 Live will maybe stay on Wednesdays, maybe not, depending on their whole tape schedule thing. I don't know if Main Event's going to go anywhere because nobody watches Main Event. WWE doesn't even act like it exists anymore. The NXT and NXT UK block will probably stay on Wednesdays. And then eventually we've got SmackDown on Fridays. It's going to be a real pain in the ass when it comes to my schedule, but, I'll worry about that next October. So Tuesday Night Dynamite seems like their regular show. And the Double or Nothing and All Out seem like they would be pay-per-views. Double or Nothing, they actually have a logo for that one, and that one is like a poker chip, so I'm assuming maybe something along the lines of their, like, Money in the Bank, or Feast or Fired from Impact, something along those lines. And All Out, obviously, is a reference to All In. So I'm assuming All Out is their WrestleMania, kind of. But we'll see. This is the very, very start of some kind of a company that we don't really know anything about. We know that it's going to be based out of Jacksonville, Florida, the TIAA Bank Field, which is also where the Jaguars operate out of. And since the Jaguars are owned by the Cons, and then there's that whole thing, and then there's supposed to be Access Television and everything like that, you would assume that this is all working into the reports that we had heard of before, but there's no confirmation on a lot of those details. Who is running All Elite Wrestling? Is it Cody? Is it the Young Bucks? Is it a combination of the three of them? Is it Kenny Omega? Is he just going to be a part of this? Is this completely unrelated to them and they just happen to get the trademark for that? But I highly doubt it because All In, and they call themselves the Elite, it just makes perfect sense. So this kind of ties into one of the other things, which is there are rumors that 2 WWE superstars have already, quote, provisionally accepted deals and will leave the company in April. Who are those 2? I'm going with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They have not done shit since coming into WWE. And you know that they have friends when it comes to these people because they were involved in them when it comes to the Bullet Club. Being in WWE, they earn more money, I'm sure, than what they would elsewhere. But at the same time, they're not accomplishing anything what their goals are. If, they want to be tag team champions, they want to be world champions, whatever the case may be, WWE does not seem to want to use them. And those 2 stars, I think that they're about to come up on their contracts around that time. So you figure if their contracts are up in January and they have the no compete clause, that puts them in around the April mark. A lot of people are going to jump to AJ Styles. A lot of people are going to jump to Finn Balor. Some people are, of course, going to go into like, well, what's going to happen with like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn or, lots of different people. And we could be surprised on this one. It could just be like the 2 people that are leaving WWE and going to an event, or not an event, going to some kind of new promotion like All Elite Wrestling may be people like No Way Jose and Sin Cara, for all we know. But I'm going to bank on it being Gallows and Anderson, and if they leave, I wouldn't really put it past them all that much because, hey, you know what? WWE's not really doing anything with them, so I don't, I can see that coming. But maybe it might be somebody else, and maybe they won't even go to AEW. Maybe they'll just leave. Maybe they're done with wrestling. Maybe they're going to go to New Japan. Maybe they're going to go to Ring of Honor. Maybe they're going to go to Impact. There's a lot of different varieties that can go with this. Let's talk about the idea of bringing somebody up to the main roster and then not doing it. That is what happened recently with EC3, according to certain remarks. That is... he was supposed to be scheduled to call up to for a call up to the main roster, and then he suffered a concussion. And he's back to working in the ring. He, for those who want to know spoilers for the NXT episode for this week, he beats Marcel Barthel or Bartel. I think it's Bartel. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He wins. So EC3 is back to working in the ring, but that whole concussion thing, maybe that's why he was out of TakeOver. And I had said before that it seemed like they weren't really doing much with EC3. If he had a concussion, then you can see why they weren't really doing much. If he was going to be called up to the main roster, they really need him on SmackDown, I think, because SmackDown has no baby faces. So that's something to keep in mind. And they could just do that too. He calls out Bobby Fish on this episode, and they might be working towards something with NXT TakeOver Phoenix. And then, of course, if you're thinking maybe they're going to work with Phoenix, maybe they don't bring him up after Phoenix. But maybe they do, He could be one of those surprise entrants into the Royal Rumble the night after that. And then he can come up to the main roster. They've done that before in the past. They don't have like a strict schedule where they need to bring people up on, the night after WrestleMania and nothing else or something like that. They can do whatever they want. So I hope that if EC3 does come up pretty soon, that they've got a game plan for him for WrestleMania, and it's not a shit one. He's not supposed to be there like getting pissed on by Drake Maverick or something like that. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. And the same thing when it comes to Lars Sullivan, because Lars Sullivan has been being advertised as coming up to the main roster, either on Raw or on SmackDown. They haven't quite figured that part out yet. Maybe they have, and they're just kind of playing around with things a little bit. I don't really know. But they also might not even bring him up at all, because he's had a lot of heat on him. At least he should. When it comes to these recent findings, people did some searching, and they found that he was on a message board. It was like a bodybuilding message board, if I remember correctly, and his username was Disenfranchised. And he had said a whole bunch of different things. I'm not going to repeat them, and I'm not going to obviously go through. And I didn't go hunting, because this is the way that I kind of stand on this. If this was like 15 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that, I think that there's certain levels of forgiveness that need to be said for certain things, but also you need to be held accountable for what you do. And I'm sure that I've posted things on the internet that are stupid, and I'm sure that I would want people to forgive me, if I had said certain things and people took it the wrong way, or if certain things became offensive later on, and then people were like, hey, you said this back in the day. But this is the same as the situation with the James Gunn problem, with if you followed that with the whole Guardians of the Galaxy situation. You can't talk about certain topics that you are expecting to be controversial and try to get a rise out of people, and then get a rise out of the people, and then not expect that the rise is going to kind of bite you in the ass a little bit. So if he gets fired for this, I can understand why WWE would do that, but I can also kind of argue a little bit, well, WWE has done worse, and they have perpetually done just as bad, or something like that. If he loses his push, I think that makes a little bit more sense. And if he doesn't get punished in the slightest bit, that's a little bit strange, because then it makes it kind of seem like WWE is okay with it. So I don't really know where to go with on this one, because I haven't read all of his posts. Some of them are definitely offensive. Some of them I think people are getting a little bit too butthurt over nothing. For instance, he's claiming that he, quote, got with Ronda Rousey. Well, that's not offensive. It's just kind of stupid. So, that wouldn't be the type of thing where we'd be like, oh my God, let's fire this guy because he claimed that he and Ronda Rousey hooked up at some point. No. But he is talking about some more racial things and stuff. And that's stuff that he would need to do something to be able to counteract the negativity that comes along with that. Maybe he does more charity work, and he proves that that was something that he is no longer following that mindset anymore. Maybe he gives some kind of a donation along with that too. I don't really know. Then everybody's going to have their own ideas of what is compensation for these kind of problems. Everybody's going to have their ideas of how forgivable it is. And you just kind of go with whatever your gut says. And my gut says the fact that they advertised Lars Sullivan again on Monday Night Raw means he's not going to get punished. And maybe that's because they don't think it's that big of a deal, or maybe they just agree with what he said. I don't know. Either way, Lars Sullivan seems like he's coming to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and with the way that Vince McMahon is, he's a big, tough guy. He's probably going to Monday Night Raw. Starrcade, I want to just talk about real quick. Starrcade happened on Friday or Saturday or whatever, and then they had the whole thing with airing it, and they only aired a little bit of it, and I think that it sucked for the most part. It was kind of a waste. This is the type of thing that in the future, maybe it'll be a positive, but right now it's not really much of a positive, because they recorded a bunch of stuff, and the majority of it was stuff we had already seen before, and then they only showed part of it, and what they had shown just wasn't all that good. If you didn't see it, I'm going to give you a breakdown of what you didn't see, which was Elias singing the same song that he had done before. Ric Flair basically saying, man, it's great to be here at Starrcade, even though it's not really Starrcade, and bringing up Dusty Rhodes. And Nia Jax trying to sing something or whatever. An 8-woman tag team match that was really forgettable. We had the Miz TV segment, which existed basically for them to say, remember Eddie Guerrero and Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, like we just had mentioned. The United States title match that really didn't mean anything, and then it was thrown out, and then Rusev came out, and it became an impromptu tag team match, which was pretty pointless. And then we had a steel cage match between two people that have fought about 19 times this year. So, no, not really all that interesting. In the future, though, and I mentioned this before, I would like to see them record more house shows, and I would like to see them put them on the WWE Network under the In Your House banner, because it makes sense to me. In Your House, house shows, smaller episodes, smaller pay-per-views where the In Your House things, they're not going to listen to me. They'll end up having, like, let's bring back, I don't know, what's a stupid pay-per-view name? December to Dismember, or Hog Wild, or whatever the stupid things are that they want to do. They should do Halloween Havoc. They should do New Year's Revolution. They should do Fall Brawl. They should do Seasons Beatings. Some different things that they've done in the past if they want to make it themed. But don't just start doing like, all right, now we're sold out, and Greed and all the other shitty WCW ones, because this is not Starrcade. And I feel bad for the people that went to Starrcade expecting it to be better, but it's a house show. What were you expecting? 2 more topics to talk about here. We've got the replacements on the Mixed Match Challenge, and this will factor more in tomorrow night on Tuesday because we're going to be picking up where they left off on that. Jeff Hardy is now officially the tag team partner of Charlotte Flair. So I guess they're not going to be Phenomenal Flair anymore. Maybe they'll change the name at the last 3 weeks or whatever it is. That's because they wanted to do the AJ Styles Daniel Bryan match at TLC, and that they can't really do both unless he just pulls double duty. When that is something that they do, then that goes to show you that they didn't necessarily plan on AJ Styles and Charlotte Flair getting into the finals to begin with. And now that we know that Braun Strowman is injured, he is being replaced by Curt Hawkins. So that also shows you quite a bit of information too, because on Monday Night Raw's side, Ember Moon and now Curt Hawkins, they'll change their name. They should. It shouldn't be Monster Eclipse anymore if it's Curt Hawkins. But Curt Hawkins has lost every single match for, 250 matches or so? They're not going to have him win a match alongside Ember Moon to advance in this tournament anymore. He's going to have to lose. And if he has to lose, by default, Ember Moon is not the number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Neither is Curt Hawkins. Unless they don't care enough and they just have Curt Hawkins and Ember Moon win because they don't care enough about ending this whole storyline like that. And, in that regard, I think it'd be kind of funny if Curt Hawkins was the number 30 entrant, but I don't think that that's their goal. I think that we're still looking at something similar as what we were looking at before. Finn Balor and Bayley, Bobby Lashley and Mickie James, or who are the other options? Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox, they're not going to win. Rusev and Lana are out. Carmella and R-Truth are still in. I don't think that they would be the number 30 thing. So, all right. So, yeah, it's Miz and Asuka, or Balor and Bayley, or Lashley and James. Those seem like they are the most likely candidates. Although, now that Jeff Hardy is in the tournament instead of AJ Styles, maybe they go with that. And maybe Charlotte Flair wins from the number 30 spot, but I highly, highly doubt it. So adjust your picks on the Mixed Match Challenge and see if that goes anywhere when it comes to that. The final thing I want to talk about here is the Season 2 premiere of Edge and Christian's show that totally reeks of awesomeness. Weekend at Vinny's was the name of the episode, and I was pretty underwhelmed. I didn't think that it was all that funny, although there was one part in this that I did laugh at, which is Samoa Joe, where he is doing this whole thing with Girl Scout cookies. Normally, me, I like my puns. So the Samoa Joe, that's kind of funny, but the part that really actually made me laugh was when he just says, "Get over here and put a cookie in my mouth." It's very strange, and I don't know, check that part out, but skip the rest of it. So don't bother seeing it. It's not all that great. That's going to do me in for this whole set of hot tags. I don't really have anything else that I want to talk about, but if you have anything else you want to talk about, drop that in the comments section below and tell me what you think about these topics and anything else that's going on. I will see you again on Thursday with the Champs Giving 2018 winner reveal. If you haven't voted on that yet, it's down to Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk. Who do you think is the best world champion in WWE history? Go ahead and vote while you can. I'm going to shut those polls off sometime on Thursday, probably. And if you want to be aware of anything that happens on the YouTube channel, subscribe on the YouTube channel and ring that little bell for notifications. Just check that off and you will get the email alerts. Follow the Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Check smarkoutmoment.com for all the things that are happening there. Go to fanboysanonymous.com for those kind of things and start doing the whole clickety-click thing on that. And you'll follow all of those accounts. You can follow me separately at Tony Mango and A Mango Tree. You can follow the Bleacher Report and e-wrestling news and this and this and this and that. All the other kind of stuff that I've got going on those different types of avenues. If you want to show your support for smarkoutmoment.com or Fanboys Anonymous, or both, they have Patreons as well as the Redbubble and TeePublic merchandise shops, which are currently in Cyber Monday as I'm recording this, but I don't know how long that's going to go on. It might be like Cyber Week or something, so everything's discounted at least a little bit. Take advantage of that while you can. Buy a t-shirt or something like that if you have the spare change. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for all the support and all the stuff I mentioned at the beginning of this. I will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and I'm being counted out.